Francisco Lindor's been awful. He's been awful the first however many games they've played. I think he has one hit. He's been horrendous. On social media, people are sending messages to his wife saying, hoping death and severe hurt on the family and the children as well. This is what being a public figure is about. That's why staying off of the mentions in social media probably the way to go, because these people are cowards anyway. They could threaten death, and if they ever ran into Francisco Lindor, they'd ask for a selfie. But I'm of the opinion that if there's any kind of death threat or anything like that, that it's incumbent upon Instagram and it's incumbent upon Elon Musk and X to unearth those people and have them arrested. They should have ramifications for words like that. They really should. Now, it was suggested on social media that Met fans should give Francisco Lindor a standing ovation when they get back home on Friday. Steve Cohen, the owner, said that that's a great idea. But we'll see if it happens. But it's the ugly side of sports, guys. And I'm telling you what, we read ads for gambling sites. Everybody's gambling now. So if you make an out, you're costing somebody money. If you're losing a game, you're costing somebody money much more than you used to. When the only people that gamble when they had illegal bookies. Now, you got a phone, you got a chance to put down a bet. And I think people get upset when they're losing money and they say really terrible things.
It's people are so pathetic. It's just, and don't get me wrong, I don't know. I wonder at what point you consider it like a credible, quote, threat. But either way, who on earth thinks to do that?
Because they get excited off of what's just transpired right now. That's why I'm hesitant to talk about it, because I think it's worth an open. I mean, Steve Phillips used to tell me when I worked with him the death threats he got when he was the general manager of the team. And I'm thinking, do you really think that you're a better fan than me because you're willing to threaten somebody's life because they play poorly, or are you just a moron?
You belong in an asylum.
But you're sitting there and you're probably watching Yes or SNY and hearing it talked about, and you'll never accomplish anything in your life. So this is like the biggest highlight that you can move the needle like this, and I feel like we're giving them the time because these are people, this is the most they'll ever accomplish in their life. That's why they do it, Michael, to just get some sort of attention. And it was sick about it.
That's why there have to be ramifications.
They don't even get the attention because they don't have their name on it. But the fact that they talk about it and they can tell their friends, look, they're talking about something I did. But if there were ramifications, never mind getting a selfie if they saw Lindor. They'd probably soil themselves if they ever saw them. But just know, the person that's out there that's all excited he's being talked about, how does it feel to know you'll never accomplish anything in your life?
Yeah, you'll never get to the height that Francisco Lindor, as who's failing at this point this year.
The only time
that Francisco, you'll never even get close to what he's done in his life.
The only time you'll get your name in the paper is your obituary. It's sad.
Well, not necessarily. Someone has to do that.
Yeah, that is.
All right.
It doesn't.
All right, it's time now for Diamond Notes, brought to you by London Jewelers. So, this was revealed, I guess it was Saturday or Sunday. Francisco Lindor's gotten off to a terrible start. There's no other way to put it. But he does that. I mean, he starts off slowly. The Mets did take 2 out of 3 against the Reds, so that's a good thing. But his wife, Katia Reguero Lindor, shared Friday night a few of the messages where her family was threatened. She got one private message she revealed that called Francisco a bleeping piece of bleep. And wish, quote, him and your child die screaming. Another message entailed an account calling her a selfish, terrible word that you're just not supposed to use about a woman who should, quote, tell his bleep to work on hitting. What kind of lowlifes sit in their mom's basement and actually write this stuff? Again, and we talked about this at the start of the show. They should be hunted down, and they should be arrested because you're threatening people. That's hate speech. It shouldn't be allowed, and you shouldn't be able to hide behind the anonymity of an egg so you could just make people's lives miserable. Now, what I would tell all these people, my life has been so much better. Stop reading mentions. I just don't. On Instagram, there's so many people that DM me or whatever it's called, and I never look at it, ever. ever. So people that are sending me hate, I never see it. So you should save your lactic acid and don't type it out. But imagine that people feel that they could say that to another human being and get away with it just because Francisco Lindor has been off to a terrible start. It's a distressing part of society. The milk is out of the udder. I don't think that we could get it back because social media essentially runs the world now. So you're never going to stop it. But these people have to be held accountable. There has to be something where they pay for these words.
Doesn't it feel crazy, Michael? I mean, people can do and they can do really scary things too. You hope that it's just words, Michael,
right?
Because I know that you don't really think it's likely and that anyone's going to physically harm someone, and maybe it's just words, but people get doxxed and have all kinds of information released, and it's really sick, and in so many ways it's really hard for people to prosecute in any way. And like you just I know we want freedom, but like at what point is enough? Where like these platforms should have some sort of way of filtering out things that are said.
Well, Michael says it all the time. There's freedom of speech, but you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. This goes beyond that. Now, it's easy to just say it's social media, it's some wackos, and 99.9% of the time, it is nothing. These are cowards. They would never do anything. Don't even know how to do anything. But God forbid if something did happen, and then you found out that person had threatened them on social media, and it wasn't followed through, and you didn't check it out, how would that look? So, for the very least, they should be held accountable for taking everybody's time, because there are times it should be investigated.
I believe, too, you could push back at me if you don't, subscribe to this. I believe that the proliferation of gambling makes it worse. I saw an interview with Jason Tatum where he said, people are getting all over me if I don't score like 20 points in the first quarter because that was the over-under. And now imagine if you're just a crazed fan and you want your team to do well, so you get upset when your team loses. But now you're a crazed fan, and money that you probably don't have to gamble, you do gamble because gambling is now available to everybody. And if somebody doesn't hit the over, then you're going to really start to threaten them. I mean, these people, it's part, I guess, of the agreement to be a professional athlete and make all these millions of dollars that you're going to receive hate from people. Again, it shouldn't go unchecked, though.
Yeah, the reason I don't buy into that, Michael, is this has been going on forever.
But no, there's so many more people gambling now, Don.
Yeah, but what are you gambling on? If Lindor has won for his first 42, you're probably not betting on him to get a hit. But I really believe it's the fugazi passion that these fans have for their teams. Like, I would bet everything that the person that did that is just a sick Met fans that disgusted that the Mets are off to a slow start and Lindor's off to a slow start, more than a guy that bet on him to get a hit or bet on the Mets to win a game and they didn't. Because there is this, and we joke about it with Dave Rothenberg, and obviously I'll not put Dave in this category, but it seems like we live in a world where the crazier things that you do as a fan make some sort of a statement what a super fan you are. Oh, I quit how many jobs because I don't miss a game, or I went home and did this or that. I burned a jersey. You're a moron, okay? That's what you are. You're not some sick, crazy fan. You're not a passionate fan than me just because you go out there and do something stupid. So for me, I would bet everything that these are fans that just love the Mets and they're just disgusted that the Mets are losing, and this is the way that they vent, and this is the way to kind of prove, look how crazy a fan I am. You're not. You're crazy is what you are, not an actual fan. You're just nuts. Should be institutionalized if you put that much on the success and failure of your team. Because think about it, Michael, it's April.
Yep.
He didn't lose the World Series. He didn't have the goal. He didn't pull a Buckner.
But Gary did say it was rock bottom.
Well, that is true. But you know what? And I'm not going to get on Gary, but this is what we do. The sky is always falling. Or, listen, Juan Soto's the greatest Yankee who ever put on the pinstripes. Like, we live in a world of exaggerations, and then we pin it all up to, because I'm just a passionate fan, man. I'm sorry. I mean, that seems like to be your get-out-of-jail-free card. When you act like a moron and you say, well, I can't help it, man. I'm just a passionate fan. Well, I'm sorry. Can you have some rationale into being a fan? That you got to pick up Twitter and you got to threaten the life of somebody's wife because he got off to a slow start? You're right. These people should be put in jail. Because you're threatening the lives of people. You get law enforcement involved. Do we really need to have people investigate these yo-yos? But if you don't investigate them, and God forbid somebody does slip through the cracks, then what?